What's up everyone, Zach Seif here, and today we're going to check out how I would use the Strymon Iridium in a live context. So I just picked this unit up today out of pure curiosity. I got to play one about a year and a half ago at Russo Music down in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and having just plugged into the headphone jack with my guitars that I was touring with at the time, I was blown away with how fantastic this sounded. I could get every tone that I needed that I had in my fractal in here, minus all of the effects, of course. So I got a pretty good deal on a used one, about 20 minutes from my house. Plugged it in for the first time just to make sure everything worked, and I decided to make this video off the cuff going through my first impressions of how I would set this up in a live context. Before we get started, this video is obviously not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by Strymon or Musicman. I'm going to be using my JP15 today. All thoughts and opinions are those of my own, and I'm excited to check this thing out. I think you guys are going to be pretty amazed with the results that we're going to get today. So let's go check it out. So what led me to want to pick up a copy of the Strymon Iridium is not that I'm getting tired of the fractal at all, but I wanted to have a nice, small, portable, lightweight unit. This thing doesn't weigh anything, but I could still probably knock myself out if I hit myself hard enough with it. And it just fits perfectly where my power amp would sit in my Pelican case, or a gig bag slot, or the mono tick that I have. It really fits anywhere with the gear that I already travel with. And this, with its power supply, again, really takes up no extra space. And since a lot of the gigs I'm going to be doing for the next couple months, I don't need my Marshall 412, I don't need my power amp, so this can fit right in the case. I'll show you guys a quick video of that here so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's just nice to have in case I want to try something different, or if anything ever happens with the fractal, I can just plug this in and be ready to go in maybe 15 seconds. Today's test is going to be really simple. I'm going to be plugging my Musicman JP15 direct into the Strymon, stereo out into my Focusrite interface. Absolutely no post-processing. Real quick before we go any further, according to my analytics, about 90% of you who watch my videos on a regular basis aren't subscribed. If you could just take 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button down below, it helps me out more than you can possibly know. Now that this channel is really starting to grow and I'm able to monetize it, I want to make sure that all the time and effort that I put into these videos is super worth it, and the amount of subscribers really does matter as a content creator. So if you guys appreciate what I do and you want to give back, you don't have to pay me any money. All you gotta do is click that button. And with that out of the way, let's continue with the video. So the whole reason that I wanted to make today's video is to show you all how I would set up the Strymon Iridium for live use, mostly as a backup unit to my Axe effects. So what I'm going to do is go through each of the 3 amplifiers, the 9 stock cabinets, some of the hidden features inside the pedal, and then load some of my own impulse responses to try and see if I can get the exact tone that I'm looking for. So here's the bypass tone with the pedal off. It basically just acts as a DI box when the pedal's not turned on. And if I switch to my piezo, I can just bypass it and still use the piezo, which is super cool. So we're going to turn on the pedal, and obviously nothing's coming out. So we're going to turn the level up, and I'll turn the drive up to about half just to get signal going. So we're going to start on the round amp, which is based off of the classic Fender Deluxe reverb. And then we're going to slowly bring in the tone stack. And you can hear how the tone is starting to fill up. That sounds fantastic as it is. We're going to put a little bit of room reverb in. The reverb is absolutely immaculate. It's all room sounds, but it sounds fantastic. So let's start to dial this in a little bit. When you leave the mid control at noon, it acts like the hardwired amp where there is no mid control. And then moving it below 12 o'clock is going to scoop the mids, and above 12 o'clock is going to boost the mids to get more of like a tweed sound. So that's about the clean tone that I would use live. So I'm going to leave that as my clean tone for now, and I think that sounds fantastic. But we'll check out the other cabinets real quick. So the first cabinet is based off of the Deluxe Reverb. This one's based off the Blues Junior. It has a really great mid-range. Albeit a little bit boxy, but... And the third impulse response is the 210 Vibrolux cabinet. They all sound great. So I'd probably leave it on any of these impulse responses. They all sound fantastic. I'm really happy with how this thing sounds so far. So now let's take a look at the Chime amp, which is based off of the Vox AC30. I'm going to put all the controls back to neutral. Now, why am I leaving the mid on 0? Well, for those of you who aren't aware, the Vox AC30 does not have a mid-range control on the amplifier itself. But what it does have that the other amps don't have is called a high cut. So when that's turned all the way down, you're allowing all of your high end to pass through. And as you turn it up, you're choking out the top end. So it allows you to take really bright tones and darken them a little bit. Or you can take dark tones and brighten them up depending on how you want to set up the amp. So right now, all of my top end is coming through. We'll go back to the first cabinet, and this is based off of the 212 Vox AC30 open back. Classic Vox chime. That sounds so good. Again, I'm fine leaving it just like that, but I'll show you how the top cut works. It just kind of tames it a little bit. And then all the way up. It almost muffles it a little bit too much. So I wouldn't leave it all the way off, but I probably wouldn't put it much higher than I have it now, about 930 or so. Checking out the next cabinet, this is a 112 cab with a Celestian Blue Alnico speaker, which is a very common replacement speaker for the Vox. It's got a really nice punch to it. Sounds great. Impulse Response C is a Mesa Boogie halfback 412 cabinet, so it's half open back, half closed back with a mix of their Black Shadow and the EV speakers. So let's see how this sounds. Right off the bat, it's a fuller, deeper, bigger tone. So let's see how this amp breaks up. We'll keep this impulse response for now. Back to the Alnico Blue. And the stock 212. Definitely rock out to some Shania Twain with that tone. That sounds great. And these amps respond really well to dynamic changes as well. So if I start to roll back my volume, they clean up exceptionally well. Without losing that fullness and saturation. And then I turn back up or pick a little harder. Last but not least, we have the punch mode, which is based off of a Marshall Plexi. We're going to start with everything at noon. So this is a 412 Marshall with Celestion G12Ms, 25 watt greenbacks, classic speaker combination. No one runs a Plexi like that, though. Let's be real here. It's dime everything. So around 2 o'clock is where a traditional Plexi would tap out on gain. It does the Plexi thing phenomenally, but we're going to adjust it a little bit more to what I do. The second cabinet is a 212 with Celestion Vintage 30s. That's more my speed. When we dime the game, it becomes more of a hot-rodded Marshall sound, more closer to what like a Friedman would be. And C is an 8x12 Marshall stack. So that's going to be your Pete Townsend full stack, basically. So whoever said the Iridium can't do high gain, obviously never spent enough time with it or used a solid enough guitar. I mean, this Ernie Ball Musicman JP15 has medium-high output DiMarzio Illuminator pickups, but I don't feel that this is over the top. You know, it's still very clear and articulate, and you can hear the note definition. So how would I set this up for a solo tone? I'd probably jack up the reverb. And what we can do with this Strymon is adjust what type of reverb we have based on the secret setting, hidden setting, whatever they call that bonus mode. We can adjust the room size. We're going to do that real quick. So we're going to press and hold the on switch. And now we're going to adjust the room control. So green is the smallest size. Amber is what we've been on. We're going to adjust it to red, which is the largest size. And then we're going to press that. And now we have like mega reverb. I'm going to engage the boost. That's a pretty solid lead tone. Last thing I want to do real quick is see what it sounds like when we load some custom impulse responses. So I'm going to open up the editor on the computer real quick. There's no need to really screen grab this. It's just me plugging in the pedal with a USB cable. So it's going to take a minute to load. And then I'm going to load just a couple IRs real quick, just so you can kind of hear the difference. So we're going to take this one that we have right here. We'll go back to A. Alright, so that's the stock. We'll turn that room sound way down, just so you can hear the IR itself. And I'm just going to start loading them. Massive difference already. The IR matters more than the amp, in my personal opinion, which is why I can get this thing to sound so aggressive and tight by just swapping out the cabinet impulse. And all the ones I'm using right now are based off of a Marshall 412, just with different microphones. Right now we're using an SM57, and it's moved in different positions throughout the speaker cabinet, either on the cap, on the cone, the edge, and how much presence is being added based on where it's being mic'd. So really, you can go super in-depth with loading these different IRs. Let's try on a lower gain sound real quick. We'll go back up to that Fender. And again, here's a reminder of our tone. And I'm just going to load a 412 cabinet. We have more headroom to play with. It's brighter and more scooped, so I can add bass back in. And it just sounds so big. And then we added the reverb back in. We can probably get a pretty ambient tone by just kind of playing with this tone stack a little bit. Just about wraps up today's video. I cannot believe how good this thing sounds, but also how good it feels in the hands. These amps sound just as good as they do in the Fractal, in my opinion. And for retail, $399, it's really hard to beat how much versatility you get. We went from super clean funk tones to super high gain death metal tones with just the stock sounds. Plus the fact that you can load your own impulse responses. This thing is a sure tie-in for any other amp in a box pedal in this price range and even a little bit higher. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you guys think about the Strymon Iridium? Do you guys use one as well? What kind of settings do you use? Let me know. As always, social media, those links are in the description box below. Go check me out on Instagram. I think you'll find the content that you're looking for there. I post on there every day, whether it's in my stories or as a post itself. Go check it out. Till next time, everyone, keep on rocking, keep on practicing.